magic. It's only magic because I'm here with the one and only Shawn Pelofsky, and I'm so glad to have you here on Talk Show on the Go.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, Sunda. I almost couldn't speak there because the music was so gay in the beginning.
Hey, and you know I love gay. we all do.
The gayer, the better.
The better, because they do it right.
God, and they're loyal. Loyal.
Yes.
Loyal
yes.
fan base. God bless. So that's how, like, as soon as I heard that music, I wanted to start, like, tweaking. I just started, because that's.
Can you imagine?
Because when you hear that music and you're, like, amongst all the gays and, like, the circuit parties, that's, you just.
And they party, and they party. They have so much fun. Why don't we have fun like that?
Because
we're married and we're Jewish. And we have to complain. Except I'm a Jew from Jersey, but this one.
This is the Complaining Podcast,
yes.
starring Sunda and Shawn Pelofsky.
The kvetchers. We kvetch.
Hello, my back is hurting me. I'm losing my vision. This salsa, it's too spicy. Do I go on? I've suddenly morphed into my mother. What's happening?
That's what happens. We turn to our mothers, which is scary because mine wasn't Jewish, but you couldn't tell the difference except charcoal was so black you could make a white mark on her. And that's the truest thing I've ever said. My mom knows it's the truth. Shawn Pelofsky started, I don't even know exactly when you started, but we met out in Los Angeles.
I started right? BC.
Where?
Comedy.
Boston comedy?
No, before Christ. As you asked when
I started.
What?
You know what? I'm thinking of BC.
I'll be here all week.
Because I'm such a New Yorker, and I always thought she was from New York, but she's not from New York, but she should be from New York, but yes. She doesn't like New York.
But where am I from? I'm from Oklahoma.
I know.
So people always come up to me, and they're like, what part of Oklahoma are you from? And I'm like, I'm sorry, they'd say, what part of New York are you from? And I'm like, Oklahoma City. So it always makes people, like, they stop in their tracks. Like, what are you talking about? You're definitely East Coast. But it's my parents that were from Brooklyn.
Where were they from? Brooklyn. What part?
The Brooklyn part.
Which school? That's what they like to say.
Erasmus High, wherever.
Erasmus, I didn't know that.
Yeah, my mom was in gym class
Did
with
not tell
Barbara
me.
Streisand.
Oh my God.
And they went to school with Neil Diamond. So my parents, they knew each other at like 15.
That's so amazing because you are such the beautiful Barbara Streisand, and Barbara Streisand will always be beautiful. But sometimes when Shawn wears her hair in a coif, it's just like she is a dead ringer.
Well, that's because I broke my nose like 3 or 4 times. So you too can be a dead ringer if you
No,
do
it's
that.
the eyes, it's everything. And
Really?
I told you, yes. And to hear this about your mom is so interesting because I was just rereading Enter Talking by Joan Rivers, which I had read when I was a kid. And it's a totally different meaning now.
You told me to reread it.
Did I?
Do that. I thought about that the other day.
I have never written a joke down. I don't have anything like her filed. I mean, what am I doing? Do you write your jokes down?
Do I write them down? Not much anymore. Sometimes. I mean, during the pandemic, I've been writing them down. They're logged in places. But, I mean, I don't – the rest are just mostly ideas and notebooks, and then you forget them. When you go through them. Don't you keep like notebooks?
No.
Like most comics will have a notebook and then they'll write like ideas down, or if I have an idea, I'll write it in my phone. But then when I put a set together, you put keywords that remind you that that's what the joke is. But then years later, you go back to like, oh, maybe I want to see what other material I have, or I didn't really touch, upon as much as I should have. And then you go back to it and you're like, kinky boots. What is that? What was that bit? It's like you can't figure it out.
And
so
sometimes
I wish I'd written them out.
Me too. And when I think of my jokes the most, and I don't know where you are, but I'm in the shower.
Yeah, shower or driving. They say shower is actually, I think there was some, I don't know, study that like you are the most creative when you're showering.
Really?
Maybe I just made that up, but it sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, I have thought of a few jokes in the heat of passion, and it wasn't funny. Because my husband doesn't have a sense of humor, as you remember.
I don't think so. He had a sense of humor.
We used to go to your parties July 4th.
Oh, my God, remember
Shawn
that?
Pelofsky always had a party July 4th, and I
had a
always
good party.
went. Great party. Everybody went.
10 years
straight.
I threw this party. I lived, that was the only thing straight in my life was that party. But at 10 years, I lived in this apartment in Beverly Hills, and the 2 French doors of this apartment, it was a lower apartment that faced the street. So it would open up to the front of the street. And so many people, and it started off as a housewarming.
No.
Literally a housewarming. My
Was
roommate and
it?
I, yeah, we were like, it wasn't even a house. We're just like, we'll have a 4th of July housewarming. And then each year I was like, well, that was a really fun 4th of July party. So each year I would throw it, and it got bigger and bigger. And so this little place that could, barely hold my fist would hold like 600 people at like 2 o'clock in the day on 4th of July, and it would just spill out to the streets.
Great.
And I supplied all the food. That's why all the comics came. Because I supplied.
I bought food, though. I bought something.
Right. Well, see, you're good like that. If comics brought anything, they'd be like, I brought some Lucky Lager beer. And I'm like, you brought $3 beer? Like, gross. They'd be like, I brought a bag of corn chips from Costco. And it's like, that is not going to do.
Yeah.
So I would supply like 6-foot hoagies, fried chicken for 400 people. My Can't We All Just Get Along pasta salad, which was tricolor pasta, tricolor peppers, Parmesan cheese, little Paul Newman dressing. Thank you. That's the only time I'd cook. And then I had friends booking like baked treats like Betty Crocker, like Rice Krispie treats and homemade chocolate chip cookies. And there was kegs. There was Jell-O shots. There was a full bar with premium liquor that it just went for like days. This was the stuff that I supplied. Nothing was going to run out. People were going to be fed. They were going to drink.
You're so Jewish.
And they were going to have a good time. And little by little, people collected. I had my neighbors, relatives flew in, whatnot. And comics loved to go to this party. And then after 10 years, I mean, this party, though, it put me into massive debt. People still to this day, it's like 20 years later, I still have not had the party again. But people call or they'll reach out or text like, are you having the party? I don't even live in that place anymore. And even if I did, I couldn't, with social media, I couldn't start to have that party. And the amount of gay men I know, I couldn't supply the vodka
or the Molly
for gay men. Like, right? Or the Molly. No way. Well, we know they don't eat, so that wouldn't have been the problem. But here's the case. Like, I couldn't have this party. But that party, and I'm talking 20 years ago, cost me like $6,000 a year.
Oh, I could believe it.
Imagine, like I went into 20-something thousand just with that party alone. I went into debt.
But it was a networking event, so much so. I remember meeting Retta there, and I thought she was so funny.
She still is. Look
and
at
now
Retta.
She's a star.
Amazing. Retta always stayed to the part. She always stayed. She'd sit one spot.
Yep.
On the couch.
And
there wasn't a lot of furniture.
Yeah, but she had her spot.
But she'd find that spot.
And then we'd sit next to her.
She'd hold court.
That's right.
And she'd have her plate of food. Maybe someone get up and get the plate of food for her like a queen. And she stayed till the bitter end. God bless.
She was the best. There's so many great comedians that we knew that people don't talk about. And when I teach these classes here at the LA School of Comedy, and I bring up names, when you think you're going to be able to say regardless as a joke I say, hey, whoa, regardless. I know it's a word, but stop. And I'm going to let her take it over because when I try to explain about, Freddy Soto, regardless, she can do it.
Yeah. Regardless. Freddy Soto, one of the best comedians of all time. I still talk to his wife. And who unfortunately was widowed way too early in life because we lost Freddie in his early 30s. And it was such a tragedy to lose somebody who, as soon as this guy hit the stage, and no matter what the night was, especially at the Comedy Store, because, you just get these audiences that, like, just didn't give two shits. They just paid $20 to park, $20 to get in, $20 a drink. After they were done bending over, then they, sit down and it's, you do the show. People would go up and they would just kind of just take their shot. And if there was anyone guaranteed to just turn that room around,
was Freddy Soto.
And he always had this great bit how his father would just make up this word, regardless.
Because he didn't speak English, but he knew that word.
Regardless, son, this chair, it doesn't hold up right now, but regardless, this chair, I could fix this chair.
Regardless. And the movie was called Regardless. Did you see, were you there that night?
I wasn't there that night. I think I was in Brazil when she premiered that movie. So.
Wow. I'm so glad that I caught that text and I did see it because I really did love Freddie. and we're sending the baby a gift. It's a girl. Her name escapes me right now, but we've had so much fun at the Comedy Store, and there was drama. And then there was the Belly Room. And guess who I still speak with? And I see her on Yuntif, is Rachel Levy.
And I see her on Yuntif. I suddenly turned into a Rebbe as I'm sitting here.
No, the Rebbe was here on Wednesday.
You know who says Yuntif was like my grandpa Max.
What would you
like,
say?
Like
the Jewish holidays?
You know, but let's talk like the OGs. You know what I'm talking about?
That is OG, right?
But this is the OGs.
It is.
You know somebody's OG Jewish when they stand up and they say good Shabbos. The T's become S's.
Always.
Shabbos.
It is. It's Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good Shabbos.
Hey, look, at least you were bat mitzvah. I was not.
How could that be?
Because I didn't have my bat mitzvah.
Did you not want to? Your family didn't want to give that to you?
I don't want to.
You never want to do that. You didn't even go to like Yisrael.
Yes, I did. I got
Listen,
pregnant
dropping
there.
names, huh?
I got pregnant in Israel. I almost
So
couldn't
why
get
did you
back.
but you could have a bat mitzvah by the wall. Don't they have like they have speedy?
Oh, I got in trouble at the wall. Let's not even talk about it. I was
Me
wearing
too.
something and I
Me
forget
too.
about it.
Tell me your story.
I don't even know. I was covered.
You were like in a crotchless mesh body stocking
No,
by the
I
wall.
was here covered and my arms were like that.
So for people who don't know this, and they
Right.
should, when you go to the wall,
In
very
Israel.
religious site in Israel, when you go to this wall to daven, which is also so OG.
That's OG.
When you go to either pray or you're just going to look at this religious site, and they have where you can put your wishes on a tiny piece of paper, you write them down, and you stick it in the wall.
And I have something to tell you guys. Be careful. The wall works. I got pregnant there and couldn't fly back. And then my mother-in-law said I could stay with her family, and I said, God will find a way.
Wow, my wish, as soon as I put it in, the wind blew it away.
Oh.
So I knew that really nothing was ever going to happen for me. It was like, wah, 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 wah. Like I put it in, I was so excited. I prayed, and then boom, it just blew out.
Just blew away into God's hands.
Yeah, there you go. I'm like, Charlie Brown visited the wall that
Can you
day.
imagine?
But somebody yelled at you, like, and that was the first time I went to the wall. The second time I was at the wall, because my cousin lives in Israel, and I was working on a gay male cruise, and they decided to go to Tel Aviv.
Oh, God.
And then I took, I traveled over to Jerusalem to meet up with my cousin, and I had my friend Kimmy with me who had never been to Israel. And we go to the wall, and as we're walking away, now we're with my cousin, who is originally from New Jersey. She married an Israeli. She's lived there for years. And we're with her daughter, who is a badass Leo, who was in the military. She takes no shit. And we have left the wall. We are not even standing near it, not even 100 feet, 200 feet away from it, 500 feet. We have walked away from this wall. We are far away enough from it. And I guess all of a sudden some Israeli woman with a shmata on her head, total full-fledged Orthodox, starts screaming in Hebrew at my friend. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of looking at something shiny. I don't know what I was doing. And then I hear my cousin yelling at her and in Hebrew. And then I hear my cousin's daughter's like 21 step in Hebrew. And then she's like getting in the face. And then I'm like kind of watching going, what's going on? And then they walk away. The lady walks away, and I said, what the hell happened? She says, oh, your friend Kimmy, is a whore, she's not covered.
She called her prutza. I don't believe this.
She's not covered properly. And I'm like, I would have ripped that wig off that lady's head. I mean, had I known what was going on, I would have gone into full fisticuffs. Like, just rip the schmata, the wig. We would have been, like, on the floor.
Throwing down.
That would have not gone on with me. My friend Kimmy was like, I didn't know what was happening.
Oh, my God. I got in trouble because, as you know, my background is I went to Catholic school, for kindergarten through college. And I used to laugh when Jesus fell the third time. This is something you probably won't understand, but it was called the Stations of the Cross.
Okay.
For whatever reason, it made me laugh. It got me in trouble. It got me a lot of trouble. I was sent out of the class. I get to Israel. I fell down on the street with my husband. This is before we found out I was pregnant. And he gets me up, and you'll never believe the sign shows you where Jesus fell the third time. They can't fix this by then? I mean, like there's no Israeli contractors that has Jerusalem stone. What's going on in the cards for
There's
you,
no
Shawn?
lesbian repair ladies.
Oh my God! Right name Orit. I'm Orit. I was in Israeli army. Do not mess with me, okay, Prutza?
I brought tools with me, big tools.
I always bring my tools.
Tools.
Let me tell you, Shawn Pelofsky is such a wonderful individual. I am a comedy concierge and a provocateur and all that.
You're going to make me cry, Sunda.
It's so true, though. She got a gig, and it was crazy. It was nice money, though. And she had to make believe that she was the caterer. And whenever at a Persian party, and she had like her Madonna hat thing on, and every time people would ask her for food, she says, "No, don't touch that." It was a setup by the owner. And they were telling me how much they loved her, how great she was. She called me and said, "I'm never doing anything like that again. That was crazy."
Are you sure? Wait, are you sure?
You remember?
Are you sure it was that? Or are you sure? Because see, I don't remember. Okay,
too.
Okay, wait. Because what I remember you sending me to, what? It wasn't. I wasn't Madonna.
No, you weren't Madonna, but you were the caterer director. You were they made you into the catering
Yeah,
director.
but I thought you told me I was Madonna. That's why I don't.
Because you wore the Madonna. The Madonna used to wear that thing on stage, remember? Her little
I know what you're
earpiece.
saying. Okay, that's why I said I didn't remember that. You're talking about the earpiece she wore in her tour.
Yes.
When she dances and sings, she has that special earpiece with the okay,
yes.
That's what you're talking about. Oh my God!
Oh
my
God!
It was the Persian.
Oh my God!
It was a Persian bar mitzvah with all Persians, and it was a prank where I was, yes, the caterer, and I was rude to the Persian people attending the party. This fancy party.
They said you were great.
People, I started taking, oh yeah. So it was kind of like Punk'd, where I had to act like an asshole for this party. And it was such a weird request, but I was like, sure, I'll do it. And at the end, I had to get up and do stand-up. But that's what the weird part was.
No, they didn't tell me that.
And reveal myself that I was not really the caterer. And everybody just looked at me like they didn't get the joke. They didn't care. They just thought I was some bizarre weirdo. Even after the reveal, nobody was laughing about that.
She asked for you all the time.
It was so.
She said it was so funny. Their faces. They have pictures of faces of people after you say no.
I don't even understand because like nobody was clapping or got it or cared. It was way. I mean, like if I think about a community that was going to hire to do something like that, I wouldn't have thought like that was going to go down in the Persian.
They wanted me to have an American.
I mean,
we're all American. I don't say that with any disrespect or anything. Oh, God, I get in trouble all the time.
No, you're not. But I literally was standing. I was taking grapes from the food tray and throwing them in the air and catching them in my mouth.
She loved you.
I remember doing that, but I just remember, is this over? Like I would sit down at tables with people, but nobody really found it funny at all, except maybe the people that hired.
I know, but we need them again. We need a lot more of those people with that money again. That's not a bad job.
I mean, I remember it being a great payday, and I called
great
you going,
pay.
Please never recommend me.
She said, "Please never recommend me again."
There was no applause when I revealed what I was. Nobody cared. They thought it was bizarre.
No, thank you.
Yeah. I could when you said, "Oh, do you remember I hired you for this Madonna gig?" But now I know what you're talking about, the Madonna. Because I was like, I don't remember dressing up as Madonna, but I could have. I have Madonna like costumes.
Shawn told me thank you, but no thank you.
I got hired also, and I got another weird gig like that, which was for like a Jew. It was for a country club, and I was Yentl at the door. And they all just looked at me when I entered. And then I also had to do stand-up as Yentl. It was, again, people
How
like
painful is it?
the guy who booked me interrupted me because it was just crickets. He was my friend that recommended me to him. The guy was so rude. He stopped me in the middle of my set. Yeah.
Did you get paid?
I got paid.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, but it was so degrading.
Oh.
The whole thing was just like, who interrupts Yentl?
Who?
I like had to wrap my boobs down like, like I had the tape and the everything.
And isn't it unbelievable?
The shit we've done.
What we go through, where we have performed. I mean, I perform at drug rehab facilities because they.
Oh, that's nothing.
until they come here to perform. Yeah, that's different.
I had a gig. Okay, well, if we want to talk, there was the gig Giggles and Jiggles, which was at the Key Club on Sunset Boulevard before it became something else.
Okay.
And it's comedians going on, and then porn stars get up to so it was Ron Jeremy was there.
Rest his soul. He just died.
Did he die?
Yeah, he died 4 days ago.
Oh,
I have his autograph. That's the only reason why I know.
Ron Jeremy died?
Yeah, he got it. It says to Aviva, to my daughter.
No.
She liked his wheelchair. It was gold, solid
I think
gold.
I remember him. Well, at the time, he was in a green room. They told me he was there. But I hadn't seen him. And I was on stage, and I was talking about, like, Passover Seder. And I don't know, I was talking about some joke about that. And then when I came downstairs in the green room, I met him. And he's like, here, sit on my lap. We took a picture. And then he goes, and I said, oh yeah, I remember being on stage, and I said something like, Ron Jeremy's here, but he probably fucked Elijah or something like that. And I sit down on his lap because I knew Ron Jeremy was Jewish, and he goes, so who did I fuck? Elijah? And I was like, what a terrible Jew. He doesn't even know who Elijah is. So we take this picture. That picture was so funny. When I looked at that picture, I laughed because we looked like boyfriend and girlfriend. So what did I do? I made it my holiday card that year, and it went out, and it said, Shawn and Ron would like to wish you a happy and healthy, 2001 or whatever it was. And I remember getting calls from girlfriends, and they were like, they didn't know who he was, and they were like, we really need to talk about your new boyfriend. It was like an intervention. And then like the following call would be from their husbands. They're like, you rock. You're my idol. I can't believe you're with Ron Jeremy. My wife didn't get it at all. They have no idea. But it just looked like we were together. And I remember sitting on his lap, and I was like, can you get chlamydia from somebody's lap? And he was like, what? I mean, he wasn't the brightest bulb.
No, but boy, did he carry a package. Now he's under indictment.
Well, if he's dead, he's under
dead.
no indictment.
No, Ron Jeremy's not. Ron Jeremy's under indictment, and the other one died from Hustler.
Oh, Larry Flint you're talking about. I thought you killed Ron Jeremy. Didn't we all just hear you say Ron Jeremy's dead?
Was it Ron Jeremy?
Yes.
I'm sorry, guys.
Larry Flint.
It's Larry Flint is dead, and
yes.
Larry King is definitely dead.
I was like, okay, because I was like, wait a minute. We keep uncovering things that I don't know.
Jewish geography just got me all confused in the porn world because.
And let's talk Jewish geography. On your wall here, you have a picture of Mel Gibson, and I was like, there's no way I was going to bring that up. You and Mel Gibson together, smiling.
Can you imagine?
What is he doing on your wall?
I'm going to explain this to you. This place that we have here is the original film actor shop that was owned by Otto Felix.
Okay.
Otto Felix was the star cop in Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke. Good-looking white dude. What I didn't know is that I had done a lot of spoofs on Mel Gibson, and I didn't know that the owner here held classes for handicapped people to work with able-bodied people so they would be comfortable on the stage or on screen. He did the Otto Awards, and Mel Gibson was his best friend.
Disabled, Sunda.
Listen. What did I say, able-bodied?
You said handicapped.
No, it's called HAPPY. Handicap Actors and Performance Presents Incorporated. That was the name of that. That was the acronym. It's not mine.
Have they changed it?
Let me finish because I got to finish this.
Okay.
He tells me I can never rent here again. He says, if you ever make a Mel Gibson joke again, you are never going to work here. Do you understand me? You're never going to rent here. And it's like, and I was just like, oh, I said, just jokes. I did all right, Shawn. I did a tape, a little thing. It was called Casting the Jew. And I had my friend Jared Stern.
I wonder why they picked you.
It was bad. It was bad. I'm screaming.
How could they have picked you for that?
I'm screaming at Jared, you're not Jewish enough. Put this on. I put a nose and glasses and mustache with the big nose kind of thing, and I hand them money. And I'm like, come on, wave it, smell it. I said, you're a Jew, for Christ's sakes. I go, Mel Gibson dedicated an entire scene to the Holocaust. And he says, I'll take it. How much is it? God. And I got in trouble. But I was in the Times. But it went viral under the Laugh Factory, but I did that. It was right here in this room. So when I saw Mel Gibson, I had to be nice. And then the cantor from my temple told me, you cannot post a picture with Mel Gibson. Do you understand what he is?
Yeah.
His father is Opus Dei. That is the creepiest. Now, do you know anything about Catholicism?
I thought he was into Scientology. No.
Deeper than that. Opus Dei is creepy. This is when they wear the ring of Christ, its thorns. And so what happens is it fuses in your bone, because if Christ could wear his thorns for us, can we not do that for them? That kind of craziness.
Yeah.
And I didn't go to that kind of school. I went to a Roman Catholic school. And the Catholics were Roman. They were Roman up our dresses. No, I'm kidding. I never made that joke ever. I'm sorry, sister. Anyway, who, by the way, my friggin' Mother Superior wanted to know, is it true that I'm a Jew and if I have faith because of her?
Oh, they're going to say, and if I had horns. I thought that was following that, because I got asked that the only time in Oklahoma.
When?
Growing up, I never faced any anti-Semitism. I was always super proud of being Jewish. I would go to stand in front of my 2nd, 3rd, 6th grade classes. I'd bring a menorah. I'd bring a dreidel. I'd bring the M&Ms. We'd play dreidel. I'd bring matzah on Passover. I educated the kids growing up, because I grew up conservative Jewish. So the only time...
I never knew you were conservative.
I grew up that way. I was in synagogue. I was in shul probably about 5... I was at 5 days a week. I'm not kidding. I was a Hebrew school, Sunday school, services, Friday night, Saturday morning.
Right.
I was constantly at synagogue. And my confirmation class consisted of my best friend, Jen, and myself. All 2 of us. You know, it was 2 of us. But I will never forget the one time I faced anti-Semitism growing up in Oklahoma. I was on the playground, maybe 1st grade, maybe younger. And a girl came up to me. Since then, she says she does not remember saying that. She was very apologetic. And she said, she came up to me and said, you're Jewish. Where are the horns on your head? And I punched her. I got in trouble.
Good.
I got in trouble for that.
That's a crazy story, because you thought that she was your friend, right?
I mean, she was in my class.
Right, in your class.
I just remember a kid asking me, where are the horns on my head?
And being black and Jewish,
and I was like, well, I have big hair. I hide them very well.
You should have done a Jersey style. They're in my ass. Well, you're going to be in my ass.
Oh, the things that have been in my ass.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I regress.
We're going too far. This talk show has gone on a go. I won a contest. I won a talent contest. I was so proud. I won the Virgin Mary Medal. And my friends came up to me, my friends in my grammar school, and they said, you shouldn't have won. And Gigi should have won. And I said, what do you mean? They said, because you're a nigger. And I had never been called that by my friends. And they don't remember that. But I wanted them to know that I remembered that. Because it's important.
Do you think, how young were you at that time? And were those kids at the time, that's just what they had heard their parents say?
Probably.
And not know, because this happened to me where I was in maybe junior high, maybe 7th grade or 6th grade. I was young.
It's around then.
Didn't know better. And growing up in Oklahoma, there was a name that when you knock on someone's door, and then you run away, or you ring the doorbell. And the name for that in Oklahoma was N-word knocking. That's just what it, as kids, was called. And I will never forget, as long as I live, I'm with my best friend. Didn't know better. Just didn't know better about that. It was just that was what it was called. And I'm with my best friend. And I'm talking growing up, like I was 9 and I'd go to New Jersey, and I go to New York. Like this was after this this was before.
Right.
But like growing up, I learned. And I would go to Brooklyn to stay with my grandparents. I'd fly by myself. And my grandma and my grandpa, they were so, racist
Oh, yeah.
Racist words, because my grandma and grandpa had been mugged a couple of times in New York, and every mugger happened to be African American. So therefore, and I remember going with my grandma, and we went to see the movie Meatballs, and everyone in the movie theater was black. And my grandma was holding her purse. She was saying all these words and holding her purse. We can't sit in here. Da, 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 da. And I said, Grandma, what's wrong? Like, what's wrong with this? We're fine.
She must have known my mother-in-law.
But that was after. But before that, I didn't know any better. And I'm like 6th grade. And we're talking, this is 1,000 years ago. And I remember it's my best friend and myself. She was having like a little slumber party. And my best friend went to the rival high school. My best friend that was in confirmation synagogue class. So we went to rival elementaries, rival junior highs, and rival high schools. And I'm with her, and her best friend from her good friend from that school was black, April, and we have a little summer party, and we're walking the neighborhood, and we're gonna go teepee, and I said we should go.
Oh no!
And we're knocking. That's when I learned what that was.
Wow! And the first time my kid ever heard the word, you know where it was? I brought her to a birthday party with my family.
Your family, like I'm sure I'd heard.
I'm talking about my mother's
a relative.
side.
I'm sure I've heard. You'd heard it.
It's so terrible.
I don't think my parents. I don't think I heard it from my parents.
Well, now we have to be woke is
Pretty
the correct
sure.
word. Now let me ask you this:
Woke.
How are you dealing with this whole new situation? Because you're very.
By the way, I'm friends with April, so
yeah, just to let you
still
guys
friends
know.
with April. Love you, April.
I'm still friends with everybody from St. Teresa's School, St. Teresa's Eagles. Rah Ray,
Yeah.
rah Ray.
You make mistakes as a kid,
Yeah.
and you learn.
Don't call me a black Jew bitch anymore, though, okay? Even if it's on Instagram. But, you know, it's amazing how people have to see color, and it's so sad. And I said something about Larry King, is that I felt that he was colorless. I never heard, if he said a joke about anybody, it was everybody. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got to be able to joke. Marilyn Martinez, I just want to say, rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Marilyn.
Like funny people. We lost funny people.
Funny people. But she could say it as you know, she was a larger than life Mexican woman who could call it out and say it.
Oh, yeah.
Say it as
it was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. And she had a black husband, Tyrone. Oh, who was the cat, Tyrone?
He wasn't Tyrone. It was David.
David. The cat was Tyrone.
Hmm.
David passed away, right?
David passed away. Yeah, Carolyn. Who's Carolyn? Marilyn had like the cancer the size of like a football in her stomach.
We didn't know. I mean, come on. We always saw it.
Well, she didn't have health care. You know, she went to Kaiser, and then I would visit her at County Hospital.
The best thing that Shawn Pelofsky ever did that made me almost pee on myself is that Madeline used to do a routine about picking up guys.
Who's Madeline?
Marilyn used to do Madeline. Madeline used to pick up. I used to do a routine about picking up guys from Home Depot, and now I'm going to let Shawn Pelofsky tell you what they did to Marilyn in the hospital when you picked up the guys.
Oh, I didn't do that. That was Vicky Barbalak. And was it Betty?
You.
No, Betsy Salkind and I think Vicky Barbalak picked up. Yeah, because Marilyn had this. She's like, oh, I love the Mexican men, and I really like to have sex with the men at Home Depot. She was just dirty. She was wrong in every way and dirty. She was really. She was like the dirtiest, nastiest comic. And it was so funny because you'd see her standing like in a moo-moo, just being so filthy and talking about fucking these guys. And so when she was dying in the hospital, Vicky Barbalak, another great comedian, and Betsy Salkind, I think it was Betsy, they went and they got some guys. They picked up some guys and brought her to the
brought the guys to the hospital
to be by her bedside as she was dying.
But did you hear the other part? They were petrified because they thought that these white women had gotten them for their organs.
Oh, my God.
Is that hysterical?
That is such a funny.
Oh, my God. That's the funniest part ever.
Gosh. No, I
think about it. You're picking up Mexican people, don't speak English. You're with a bunch. You got a Jew. You got a trailer girl. Nobody speaking Spanish.
And you bring them to
County Hospital. They thought they were having their organs removed, and I laughed till I cried. It was terrible. And then I cried sitting next to Brian Holtzman at the funeral the whole time, at the wake. That was our first wake up.
Sunda, do you remember, were you at the memorial at the Comedy Store?
Let's not talk about it when I said I'm going back to New York, because I don't know Mexicans. I know Puerto Ricans. And I got scared when Joey Diaz picked up a chair. Number one, Shawn Pelofsky was hosting, okay?
But here's the setup for that. I did not handle death well. Some people can handle it better than others. I'm a mess. It's the one time in my life, it
pulls us apart.
I'm a shell of myself, and it's hard for me to get it together. And Marilyn, so early on in life, seeing all these people like Freddie and Marilyn die, it still doesn't prepare me. Doesn't prepare you for the death of your mother, of another friend, an aunt, an uncle. It just does not, no matter how old people get. And I was not prepared. We'd gone through the funeral that day. I had been bedside by Marilyn. I'd sat by her through this whole process, trying to help raise money, to help them, pay for things. And that night, we get to the Comedy Store, and Kiki, who had put together that memorial,
beautiful,
comes up to me and she says, Shawn, you've got to be the host of the memorial. And I'm like, what? No, there's 100 other people here who can do it. I'm spent. I don't have it in me. I'm sad. I'm depressed. I can't run this. I don't have.
Keep listening.
I don't have an ounce of energy.
Keep
Not
listening.
1 minute. Somehow, I'm terrible at saying no. I don't know how I got bamboozled into doing this. I'm the host. And I'm so depressed. And I'm like, I got nothing funny to say. I got nothing to do. I said, you know what? Right away, I'm going to bring up Joey Coco Diaz.
Yeah, that's what she did.
I'm going to bring up Joey
and boy,
Coco.
did she do it.
He's going to bring the house down. He's going to, not be, I'm Debbie Downer right now. I'm Debbie Downer. So I bring in Joey Coco Diaz. He comes up. I think he's going to slay. He's just going to.
Yeah, we're all waiting for him. We love him.
Within 10 seconds, he gets up there. He sees some manager who he thinks screwed people over. He goes, you motherfucker. I will rip open your mouth and shit down your neck. I will murder your family. He jumps into the audience to
pulled up a chair.
To it's like Jerry fucking Springer.
Live.
At
she's
Marilyn
the host.
Martinez
Memorial. Yes.
Funeral memorial.
And on top of everything else, I was saying, Joey, we love you. Do you remember me trying to talk him down?
Yes.
I said, Joey, we love you. He goes, no, Sunda, you don't know what they were trying to do. They were trying to make a documentary of her death and never helped her with any money before.
I did not remember that part.
That's what he told me.
If I could teleport myself at that
moment
to anything.
Teleport to Telemundo. Let me tell you what I said. I was looking around. Shawn was up there.
I couldn't believe it.
Wait, we're not finished. All of a sudden, we get one of the sexiest women of comedy, Ludovica.
Wait, but before.
Okay.
But right before, is Joey finally, we have to pull the bulldog, the Puerto Rican bulldog down.
Puerto Rican Cuban.
He was not, he
in
was
his
gonna
right mind.
Fuck people up. So we pull him down. The room is quiet. And I got up there. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Why am I the person? And I got up there, and the first thing I did is I sang, happiness is 2 kinds of ice cream, finding a skate key, telling the time. It was a song I'd learned from Free to Be, You and Me, when I was in grade school that they used to make us sing before, we started grade school in Oklahoma. We come to the center of the school and we sing, happiness is 2 kinds of ice cream, finding a skate key. It was just, I didn't know how to change the tone. And that's the only thing that came into my head was this stupid, happy song.
Now let's talk about the next guest.
No, the last guest.
No.
That memorial was so nuts. We finally call up Ludovica. And Ludovica is a sassy Latin woman. And I call her up.
Wait.
It's so insane.
Do you remember what her first line was before she did it? Shawn introduces her. And just wants to get off stage.
Show.
Just wants to get off stage. You really did. You really did. It was terrible what happened. And I got scared because I wasn't around. Like, I know Puerto Ricans, but there's like I don't know how the Mexicans roll. And I remember texting my husband saying, I got to get out of here soon. And then she started talking about the women of the Comedy Store. And she said, they said we were sucia. We were dirty. They're dirty girls of the Comedy Store. She said, let me tell you, this is for you, Marilyn. Pulls open her dress, her coat. She has nothing on.
She's fully naked. Like, you can see the carpet. You see everything. And she's... And
the body was great.
Yeah, Ludovica was maybe like... What, she like in her 50s at the time? And she's totally nude.
Nude. Great
body.
Nude.
But, like, I'm not even like that in my own home.
And Marilyn's family was there. Remember?
I mean, I'm not good around nudity. I'm not even in a spa.
It was really
looking at anybody.
I don't want to see
I get
that.
a back rub with like 3 layers of clothing on. I didn't even know what to do. I don't even remember how we wrapped that up.
Guess what else happened? When she opened up her coat, you forgot. She knocked the candles, the memorial candles down that were around Marilyn, and we have curtains in that room.
Oh my God. It was chaos.
It was chaos.
Yeah, again.
And I have to hand it to Shawn Pelofsky once again. But now, because I realize I'm going to talk your ear off, because some people talk your ear off, and me and Shawn go for the whole body. What's coming up for Shawn Pelofsky now? Where can we find you and stuff?
There is so much during this pandemic that's coming up for me. Lots of things are happening. Actually, I have been running a show, and I want you to do it, Sunda. And I can't wait for it to come back live. I was running a show at the Comedy Store called Social Media Meltdowns, and it's basically comics and variety artists that perform. They bring to life other people's real social media posts, comments, and reviews. So you'll see a comedian find some crazy Facebook post, whether they're connected to the person or not, or they just, heard about it or did some research, and they perform it any way they can. They can do it as a puppet show. They could do it as the character they think wrote it. They could do it as themselves and make commentary. Some people have written songs. They've put it in a song. So it's so fun. It was such a great live show. And a lot of people came out to see, and I was doing it monthly. So when the pandemic hit, I put it online and made it a YouTube show, and then have certain comedians and people submit. And then we would do a YouTube show. And then now we just have our Instagram, and then we feature different comedians, short clips. But it's just a really fun show that I love to do. And I'm very excited, like I said, for things to kind of come back to life, because nothing kind of beats it.
Nothing kind of beats it. And I haven't taught a Zoom class. I have to have them come in and stay away from me, because when you do comedy, you have to learn how to use that microphone. You have to learn how to touch that, move it away.
You haven't taught one Zoom class?
No, I don't teach Zoom, but I've gotten paid. I will tell you guys something. Everybody knows I don't do Zoom, but I'm going to start because Shawn's going to help me. Because when she came on Clubhouse, now that's funny. I know nothing about social media. I was the first one when Shawn Pelofsky came up.
Yeah, but you broke my cherry for Clubhouse.
Yes, I did, and I pinged Kate Rigg. I said, I got to go, but I don't know how to use this. I know what not to do. I don't know what to do. And I wanted to share a story with Shawn because she's a female comedian. And when I say Clubhouse, let's describe this new platform that would be comparable to...
One more social media platform to give you a stroke.
Yes, and I've already had my TIA, okay? Got to be careful. Let's just get to it. We're talking, and it's women talking, and this was for chocolate sundaes, which I started with at the Laugh Factory. And they're being so nice and... Oh, yeah, well, Sunda wants to say something. Well,
So to explain about the platform is you come on and you can only listen to people who are leading maybe a little forum or something. Everybody has this common ground, whether it's to teach you something or for people to congregate. So it's kind of like sometimes TED Talk meets Zoom, but without physical video or pictures.
Right.
So you're kind of just listening, and then, you can interject when you're called on or whatnot.
Right. Things like that. So they called on me, which was nice. And they said wonderful. It was nice. And I told them about the COVID-certified open mic outside, and I had to sign off quietly. And then I heard something in my phone. And I couldn't figure out. I heard, she's so damn stupid. I know. That's what I was saying. I let her talk. You see, I let her talk, right? I let her talk. She's a dumb bitch. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, Wow.
So they thought you had left.
They thought I had
left the room.
quietly.
So note to self, make sure this person has left the room before you talk about them. That is Gossip 101, folks.
And that's what I said to Shawn first. I don't know how to use it, but I could tell you what not to do. Mm-hmm. And then we got Kate Rigg, who, of course, is part Asian, so she got the whole thing done by now.
It was like a reunion. It was
great, and I'm so glad to see you, Shawn.
Likewise, Sunda.
We're going to be doing more stuff, man. We have to.
Sunda, you've always made me laugh. You've always... No, you
make me laugh too, though.
But you are. But you're not just like a character. You're a go-getter. You're an inspiration, and
I love you for that. Thank you.
But it's true, and you're somebody. You're unforgettable, and you are like a Freddy Soto. You can't just. Sunda doesn't hit a stage, and it's quiet, and you're gonna wake that audience up. You're like a hurricane like that. And it makes people sit up and listen and laugh, and you've got that. You've got that chutzpah.
Yeah.
Boy, I always tell Sunda she starts to make me
Jewish.
sound more Jewish. I'm going to be in a shadel. I'm going to be in a shadel by the end of this. Hello.
So black women and Jewish women have in common wigs.
God.
Right? And they love it. And Shawn, where can they find any of your stuff? Just tell everyone where they can find everything.
Well, you can, at Shawn Pelofsky, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, DickDoc, Clubhouse. Dick, Clubhouse, kill yourself. I don't know. There's so much. And I have a website, HaHa Chick is easier to find me, HaHaChick.com. And I'll soon, Vicky Barbalack and I we have a podcast that will be released soon called Trailer Park Diaries on all things comedy.
Oh,
so
I love it.
You'll be able to hear us on that. And Social Media Meltdowns, that's also on Instagram, or you could look it up on YouTube and wherever you can find Judaism, apparently.
Obviously, we're in the right place.
Shabbos.
But what I want to say is, oh my God, it's the Fast of Esther on the 25th, now that you mention it.
It's what?
The Fast of Esther is when? Wednesday.
The Fast of what?
It's Purim.
Okay, why don't you just say that?
I just
what is
thought
the Fast of Esther?
You have to fast before then, remember?
No, I don't know.
The Fast of Esther?
I grew up conservative.
I grew up in a Catholic school. Look at us.
What is the Fast of Esther? You are just telling me a piece of Judaism.
You have to fast. There's one day you got to fast before.
That's Yom Kippur.
No, there's another fasting day during this time.
Listen, there's only so much fasting
that we can do
a year.
Right, exactly. The 80s I fasted enough. Okay.
Well, you're slim pickings now. You're so skinny.
But I'm not sick. And now when I go back to Jersey, they're like, are you sick?
Oh, well, listen, I wish someone would say that to me. They're just like, looks like you've been real happy in this quarantine. Nobody says you look like you're sick to me.
You look exactly the way you looked when I met you 20 years ago.
Oh, do you?
And not many people change.
The Botox photofacials, it's working.
We're going to get that information after
PVF,
this.
That's what it's called.
I can't wait to talk about that.
PVF. They literally take your platelets, your own body, they spin your blood, they pull your blood. This is
very interesting.
People are like, what is she talking about? Why is
We're talking about
why
face
is she yelling
stuff.
Platelets? I know I'm not having a seizure. Platelets. They take your blood, they spin it, they take the platelets, which will be at the top of your blood, you can see it, and then they inject it under your eyes, and maybe if you have some left over, if that's where you want. And it's not like filler, which lasts longer, but that's a foreign substance.
Be careful with that.
Do you want that in your face?
No, you don't.
Probably the answer is yes.
but not permanent one.
But if you don't want that, there are people that will do this PVF a couple of times a year. You do maybe like 3 in a year. And it's just a natural filler.
And you are definitely still glowing from the day I met you, from July 4th party on.
I will marry you next, Sunda.
Here we go.
Like that.
You see how it changes here? This talk show's on the go. We're not binary. We're breeders. But you know what? We really had a great time. Thank you so much for being here, Shawn.
Sunda,
I love you.
Good Shabbos to you. Thank you for having me.
This talk show is on the go. Thank you, Jean-Michel.